And you're live.
Okay, so we're on Facebook and we're on Zoom, and welcome everybody. We're so happy that you joined us, and this is the beginning of our Zoom meetings. I'm sorry for the confusion. Some of you got an email saying that we were going to do just Zoom, and I tried to correct that right away, and we sent out a couple more, but we're actually going to stay live here in the room. We do have some participants today live here. We also have the Zoom, and then we are also live on Facebook. So whatever you need to do to feel safe is what we want you to do. So we have the social distancing here, and no one's touching anybody, so we are meeting in the room. And we will continue to have the question and answer period after the lecture, but I just wanted to clarify all that for you, and I'm sorry for the confusion where you got that first email that said we're Zooming. Because some of you have been very loyal at attending the meeting live, so I want you to know that option is still open. And then if the church says we cannot meet here, which is highly likely since I think we've had some new rulings today, which I'm not totally sure of, about, no non-essential meetings, then we won't be able to meet here. But we will keep you posted. So with that aside, welcome to all of you. Very happy to see you. And I'm going to continue the conversation about fear, because most people right now are pretty ramped up on fear, and I want to talk about that because that is A Course in Miracles' core topic, that we always have the choice between love or fear. And it's let's back up for a minute and just talk about fear in general. I mean, we are all conditioned and taught that if something scary is about to happen, we are going to have a biological response to that scary event, and it's supposed to be there. It's supposed to protect us. It warns us and cautions us of impending danger. So if we don't have that, and it's pretty much learned. I mean, children aren't afraid of anything, and then they burn their hand, or they fall, or somebody yells at them, and they learn how to be afraid. But it is a built-in mechanism also that you don't walk out in front of cars, you don't pet snakes, you don't do behaviors that can cause, well, most of us don't. Some of us enjoy it, but most of us don't. So the idea is that you have this natural ability to recognize that it's not a good idea to do things that are dangerous. So we want to be sure that we pay attention to that voice, because that isn't, that kind of fear is not really the kind of fear that the Course in Miracles talks about. That is the loving fear that cautions us, and really it doesn't even have to be fear. It could still be that same inner voice that's warning us to treat ourselves with love instead of, danger. So that could be a shift in perception in itself. Many people feel anxious a lot, and that's because their ego, or you can call it your thoughts, your mind, the Course refers to it as the ego, is constantly telling us, this isn't safe, that isn't safe, and, everything's bad and disastrous. And right now, the ego is having a field day. Why? Because no matter where you turn, we're all glued into this Martian that's out to get us, the coronavirus. And, as we listen to, it's getting worse and worse every day, and all these people are going to die from it, and it's going to be the biggest disaster since the Spanish flu, and, you can't do this and you can't do that. And so, there's just constant fear and anxiety and fear. And then what's happening is some people are actually getting addicted to the fear and drama. And so when they step away from it, they feel this emptiness and void and lack of stimulation, so they re-engage in it, and then they're re-engaging with their friends. But what I want to point out here is that it's interesting that we are told exactly how to stay safe, and that we're told that if we keep our hands washed, and we avoid touching our faces, and we avoid touching one another, especially out in public, and that we are healthy, our chances, even with the elderly, our chances of survival are much higher. And that, in fact, our chances of survival aren't only much higher, they're likely that we will get some flu-like symptoms and we will recover and we will be just fine. Now, I know there's a few rare cases, and I want to talk about that because, as all of you know, my mission is to help people understand addiction and to save millions of lives in the rest of my life. That's my mission, and I'm committed to doing that. And what I want to point out here is that we're being told that people who get the virus are compromised already, that they either have heart conditions, they have health conditions, they may have cancer, they may have diabetes. And I actually talked to a patient today who's in the medical field and who reported that in the hospital, most of the people who are coming in with the serious symptoms of the coronavirus are in those categories. They have heart conditions, they're obese, they are not healthy. So what I'd like to talk about in terms of the Course in Miracles, and we've brought this up many times, but I'll continue to because our ego is very good at helping us to forget. But our ego is the part of us that says we need to self-medicate. So we get anxious and we get fearful, and our ego says, "Oh, this is, we get all anxious, Of course, I call that, I don't believe in anxiety, I believe it's all fear, and let's name it for what it is. But our ego will get us, activate us in the state of lack and fear and all of this negative emotion, and we're never even questioning anything. We're just going along into the whole mentality that we're all at risk to be, crammed into these emergency rooms without enough ventilators, and, we're going to die. So what's even more confusing is that, but you can go to the grocery store if you're elderly an hour early and everybody can herd in there at once, touching things, standing in lines, and it just makes no sense at all. So what I'd like to talk about is how addiction plays a role in all of this, because if the more scared we are and the more of a state of tension that we're in, the ego's in charge. We're not feeling peaceful, we're feeling scared, and it's not the kind of fear like right now when someone with the virus is breathing on you, so there's a valid fear. It's a fear of what might happen, not what actually is happening. And so then the addictions get activated. And what I'd like to really stress is that heart disease, cancer, diabetes, suicide, accidental deaths, all these things are directly related to addiction, because if we define addiction as doing the same thing again and again and again in spite of negative consequences, because if someone wasn't addicted, they wouldn't keep doing it in spite of negative consequences. They would be able to stop. It would be an easy end. I got a DUI. I'm never drinking again. Or something bad happened. I had I feel really bad about the way I acted. I would never do it again. I've gained 100 pounds. I'm done. Whatever. I'm tired of feeling guilty about being on the porn site. Finished. But when a person's addicted, that ego keeps saying, go ahead and do it. You deserve it. It's okay. You've been working hard, or you're not getting your needs met, or, you've been on a diet all this time. Go ahead. You can do it this one time. And then, of course, once you do it the first time, the addiction takes over again and again and again. And then the really big problem is that because our ego's running the show in our thought system, we don't even realize that we're addicted. When you have a heart disease related to your diet, and I did a bunch of research on this recently. Of the 35 million deaths that are because of the 10 major causes of death, is heart disease, cancer, stroke, diabetes, kidney failure, lung failure, liver failure, and suicides are in the top 10 causes of death. And all of those are, well, let's put suicide aside for a minute, but the top 9, all of those are because someone has continuously abused their body with alcohol or drugs or smoking or behaviors that are high risk, or they have doused their diets with sugar or way too much sugar and way too many bad fats, so they're not taking care of their body. They have chosen that quick fix over eating healthy and treating their body like a beautiful, precious temple. Just like if you imagine you were a newborn baby, how would you treat that newborn baby? And why does your body today deserve any different than that? So that's that choice again between love and fear. And so we don't even realize that our ego keeps us in this pattern of eating, drinking, smoking, gambling, digital stimulation, and we're always avoiding that empty feeling inside, which is driving the ego and driving the addiction. And we don't even realize we're doing it, and then we get these major health issues. Now, why am I going on and on about this? Well, because if you didn't have those major health issues and you got the coronavirus, you would get you get a fever, you get some flu-like symptoms, and you would recover. I talked to another patient today who's in her 70s, and she had the coronavirus. She had told me, we're doing Zooms, and she had the coronavirus, and she barely even knew she had it. She had a cold for a few days, and she got tested, and sure enough, she had it. But she doesn't drink, she doesn't smoke, she doesn't do any of these things. So I think I'm making my point that, what we really need to fear here is that we're not treating ourselves with love. We're treating ourselves in an addictive, ego-driven manner from the place of what the Course in Miracles describes. That we're coming from lack, we're coming from fear, and we're trying to fill that emptiness with all these things that are creating more emptiness inside, not less. We're not stopping our patterns. We are addicted to what we're doing, so we are afraid that if we stop these patterns, we won't be happy. And sometimes we're not happy because we don't know how to be happy. We have to learn how to be happy. And happiness is a result of not abusing ourselves and learning how to love ourselves. So every addiction is a choice between love and fear. And how we address the coronavirus is a choice between love and fear. Because if I'm going to, people are saying, aren't you frightened? Aren't you frightened? No, I'm not frightened at all. I don't feel any different right this moment than I did a month ago. And I don't feel any different, I'm not going to feel any different tomorrow than I do today. Now, if somebody that I love and care about gets it, of course I'm going to be affected, more directly by it. But today, that's not the case. Today, we have a beautiful day here in Palm Beach. When I walked in, the birds were singing, there's a nice cool breeze. Everything's lovely. And, I'm very sad about the people that are dying, and that's why I want to keep pounding it and pounding it and pounding it, that a lot of these people are dying because they aren't healthy, and the reason they're not healthy is because they've been addicted without knowing it. It's nobody's fault. I don't want to blame anybody. I don't want to blame anybody. I don't want to blame cigarette companies for making cigarettes so strong. I don't want to blame sugar addicts because of the kinds of sugars that are so addictive in the foods. I don't want to blame the pornography sites. I don't want to blame the gamblers' tracks. There's no point in blaming anybody. That's not the point. The point is that we can choose love instead. We can choose to love ourselves instead. And once we do that, we won't have the fear. I don't have the fear of the coronavirus because I'm doing the things that they've told me to do, washing my hands, and I love to hug people, but I'm not. And I'm sending them virtual hugs, like I'm going to send all of you right now. You still get that warm feeling from it. It doesn't have to be direct contact. And those of us that are at home, we can, the other night we had my 2 children and their partners over, and we had a nice dinner, and we were playing the piano and singing, and my husband and my daughter's boyfriend, they're playing the piano, and then one of the people sing. It was just a really, we did that old-fashioned family time. It was a wonderful experience. And I made homemade pasta, nice salad, and it was just one of those, like, I can remember occasionally in my childhood when my grandparents would have these big parties, and there was that merriment and just that camaraderie, and we had that kind of an evening, and we can get back to that. You can play games with your kids, and if they say, no, get off the videos, come on, let's play some games, and everybody can wash their hands and take a shower and put on clean clothes and play games together, and it doesn't have to be like parents are like so stressed out because their kids are around all the time. I mean, this is a wake-up call for us. This virus is a wake-up call for the world that we need to get back to love and get away from all the fear and all the craziness and all the busyness. And so that's how I'm embracing it. And that's why I'm not afraid, because I don't smoke, I don't drink, I'm not doing the things that would reduce my resistance. And I also don't, from A Course in Miracles, it has taught me the tools that I need to stay in the right-minded consciousness, that I don't invite it, and if it affects me in some way, I'm healthy, and my mind cannot attack my body, so therefore I choose the health. And if I do get sick, I'm not going to feel guilty about it. I'll just go through it, and I'll be better. I know I'll be better because my lungs are healthy and my heart's healthy, and I'm healthy because I have treated my body as a temple of love. This is a vehicle, just like any vehicle. And you can run it in the ground, or you can treat it in a caring and a way that matters. I don't think of it much different than my car. If I'm putting the bad gas in my car, not checking the oil, the air's out of the tires, too bad, I'll fill them later, and the tires get permanently ruined, and the engine gets torn up, and the transmission or whatever they have in cars nowadays, I don't even know anymore because everything's electric and all that. But anyhow, I mean, this is a vehicle. It's a vehicle that we came here to travel. I was talking to a patient yesterday, and she was saying, I don't have a safe space, and I'm fighting with my boyfriend all the time. I said, well, yes, you do have a safe space. You always have a safe space. And she said, no, I don't. I said, yes, you do. And she said, where? And I said, right inside your body. You can create a safe space right in your body by the way that you're treating it and the things that you're telling yourself. So you always have control to create a safe space, but you have to provide that for yourself. It doesn't come from out there. The world is always going to be what it is. And the Course has taught us that the miracle is that we change our perception. So I can look out and go, oh, I went to the store today, I'm observing that, people are running around scared, and that, they're loading up their carts with probably more supplies than they could use, for the next 6 months. And that's okay if that makes you feel safe. But they got all the masks on and gloves, and then they're throwing the gloves in the parking lot. And I'm just observing it and going, I see love instead of fear. I choose to honor that we're all spiritual in nature, and we're all doing the best we can. But I feel glad that I'm in this place, that the Course in Miracles has given me, that no matter where I go, I'm safe. That's what the Course has taught me. And that as long as I'm choosing love, I go to the store and I can smile at people, and I can send that love out, and people smile back, or they look at me like I'm crazy, but I don't care because I know I'm not. Well, maybe a little bit, just enough to make life interesting. But that's the way we can approach things. We can also learn to meditate. We can learn to spend more quality time with people. Instead of having to be constantly running and going and doing, learning how to just be. My husband and I have been enjoying sitting on our balcony and watching some boats, and just having a latte out there and talking. I mean, these are back to basics, and this is our wake-up call. This is a time for us to learn how to do our life like we were intended to do. And what we were intended to do is come here and play and love one another and love ourselves and have fun, and it got way out of whack. So this is an opportunity for all of us to learn how to do that, and to how to wake up in the morning with that childlike, what's happening today, Holy Spirit? What's happening today, God? And, if you don't believe in any of that, well, what's love going to do today? How am I going to show up loving today? And then at night, you're actually able to go to sleep peaceful. And that is a beautiful, wonderful thing, to wake up happy and to go to sleep peaceful. And most people don't believe me when I say that's really what you were made to do. And if you think about it, you'll know it's true. Little children are just that way. If their needs are met, and they get their needs being the proper clothing, the proper shelter, the proper food, and the right amount of attention and the loving ways, they're just happy. They're just excited about life. And the only thing that changes that is the traumas that we experience. And because we've experienced traumas, we think everything's going to be a trauma. And then we get addicted to drama and everything. So we don't have to do that. It is a choice. It's always a choice between love and fear. And no matter what kind of medicine you take, love is always the best medicine. Because if you need medication to help you recover from the symptoms, then, that's a loving choice. But caring about yourself and caring about those around you, and including all these people that we don't even know about. I mean, my heart feels so sad for the people that are out of work and they don't know how they're going to put food on the table. It's just so sad. And yet, this is an opportunity for even those people to find a deeper meaning and a creative opportunity for their own business, perhaps. I'm seeing people and hearing about people all the time who are coming together. Even corporations are coming together to produce the types of things that we need. So the Course says we are all one. So if you know someone in your immediate surroundings who is struggling, we don't have to wait for them to get their government checks. We can help them now. We can, if you go to church or you donate money, wherever you donate it to somebody that needs it. That's the best place of all, and that is sharing and receiving love. And another big concern I have right now is that the fact that all these 12-step meetings have closed down. There are millions and millions of people in recovery, and they're having to go online to do meetings. But if you're a day or two sober from whatever your addiction is, and all of a sudden you've been abandoned by your main source of recovery, then, and what if you don't have a computer or a phone, or you don't know how to get on Zoom or Skype or live Facebook? It's the chances of staying sober are, greatly reduced. So let's be reaching out to one another. Let's not say, oh, it's all about me and getting my groceries and huddling up in my home and taking care of me. That isn't, that might keep you physically well, but this is a call. This virus is a call for unity, not separation. So we can keep our social distance, but we don't need to keep our distance from loving each other. We need to go closer into loving one another. And the more that we're focused on, serving and being grateful for the fact that what is good in our lives, and sharing and receiving love with one another, there won't be room for fear. And if the fear comes in, we can just do a reality check. What bad thing is happening right now? And if nothing bad is happening right now, I don't need to do virtual, reality shows on TV to make myself upset and addicted to the fear. I can limit myself to the news sources so that I'm prepared and aware, and I make sure that I'm following the social protocols and taking care of myself and not spreading the disease and all that. And then I can just go about my business, and just another day. And this day is a gift, just like any others. Our resources to playing might be more limited than normal, and our it may seem like there's a lack, but really out of every lack grows much more abundance. So let's try to bond together through this opportunity that we're given right now, and sign up for love rather than fear. And so I think we're reaching the end of our session right now, and we're going to stay online on the Zoom and the Facebook. And any questions or any comments or anything you'd like to share about your miracles, we'd love you to share that. Thank you. And we have people here too in the class that might have questions. Sometimes people write in on the live on the Facebook.
Not yet.
I know that was a lot of information. Everybody's like, wow, let me think about this.
I am concerned about the separation that's being urged upon us, and that we confuse, or that we join physical separation with spiritual separation. And the Course always talks about separation as the one sin, and if we lose touch with one another and start isolating mentally and spiritually as well as physically, I fear for where that takes us.
That's a very good point. One of the students here is saying he's concerned that we keep hearing distance and separation so much that we don't need to interpret that as separating from one another. You can keep a physical distance, but you can still stay emotionally bonded and connected. And as he pointed out, the Course in Miracles teaches us that the only real sin, and it doesn't mean that literally, but is this separation. And that's what I'm getting at here. The coronavirus can cause you to separate from love, or use it as an opportunity to be love towards one another. And spiritually, this is an opportunity for us to collectively unify as one, not to separate and isolate. And because that's what our ego, in the Course in Miracles, that's what our ego wants us to do, because it makes our world smaller and smaller and smaller. And then the more lonely we get and the more isolated we become, we're so much more vulnerable to those behaviors that become addictive or are addictive, and then we are in that very high risk. But all of this is about lack of love. And so we want to make sure we stay open to loving each other and to caring about each other, and not making our world so small, even without, being in the close proximity. As the student pointed out, it's not about the distance emotionally and spiritually, it's about physical distance and good common sense.
Thank you.
Julie, you have any comments or things to share?
Yeah. Well, I'm experiencing the same thing with even myself, and also with other people. And I know somebody who's an isolator on top of it. So I really had to do some prayer and meditation to search how to communicate how I'm not insane for wanting to connect in this time. I'm not irrational for wanting to connect, but it doesn't have to be the same thing that you're saying. It doesn't have to be the physical proximity. It just has to be, hey, maybe we can reach out to each other more and notice that the tendency anyways, especially in this other person, was to isolate. It was already existent before the coronavirus.
Right.
So what you're talking about in terms of addiction, the addiction, is the fear that's motivating people to get tighter and more closed off and more egocentric. I was reading about that in the Course in Miracles, instead of communal. And I thought it was very interesting how much I can use the excuse that it's the coronavirus that's frightening me, but it's really my ego that's just screaming loud all day long. And I'm not saying that I don't have my own concerns, but I've been open to finding ways to connect more, strangely, rather than less in this time. And and I see that people that want to experience love, we're all searching ourselves solution oriented. I'm meeting more of those people in my life, but I'm also, like I said, searching myself for how to communicate with the isolators.
Well, as the Course teaches us, love will find itself. Love waits on welcome, not on time. So if somebody chooses to isolate, that's okay. We want to share and receive love where it's welcome. But you said something really important at the beginning. You said, I'm not crazy because I want to connect. There is this sense out there that if you want to connect, like, I haven't had anybody say it to me directly, but I'm still going to my office every day, and I'm sterilizing the doorknobs and the seating when someone comes in, and we have our distance in the office. But I've heard comments like, oh, you're going to your office and seeing people in person? I'm like, for those who would like to come into my office, and I'm doing all the necessary procedures, but I don't believe I'm spreading the virus because I'm not sneezing on anybody, I'm not touching anybody, I'm not breathing on anybody, other than my husband. And but yet there's that underlying tone, like if you're doing these things, then you're bad. And I'm not signing up for that course. I'm not bad. I'm coming from love. I'm here to serve, and I'm here to share and receive love, and I'm here to do my job. And my job is to help people recover from addiction, and it's my mission. So if I can still do that from home, but I choose to show up into my office until I'm told that I can't go to my office. And I want everybody to do whatever they feel safe doing. So, today, one person came to the office, so I was there for that one person. Everybody else was on Facebook, FaceTime, or Zoom. But that's up to each individual. My choice is to serve and to be there. And I will not, I do not feel guilty about that. I don't want to feel guilty about that. I'm not going to feel guilty about that. If I were doing something to feel guilty about, like spreading the virus, but my existence as a healthy person and taking all the precautions is certainly not spreading the virus anymore, for sure, than what's going on in the businesses that are open with massive amounts of people all touching everything and interacting. So I'm going by what my Holy Spirit is telling me is safe. And it's telling me, as long as you want to go, and give everybody the choice. Don't make anybody feel good or bad about their decision. Honor their own choices for safety and love. So I think this is really important what you brought up, because there is this wave of how you're supposed to be. And, it's been going on for a while. It's going through every fiber of our country right now, how you're supposed to be. And what I want us to all be is love. And love is not guilt tripping anybody. It's not attacking anybody. It's not anger. It's, communicating our authentic selves, but doing that from a place of love, and not guilt, and not fear, and not attack. So I'm glad you brought that up, because that's really an important thing.
Yeah, thank you.
You don't need to feel guilty about going to the gas pump and putting your hand, on the handle that everybody's touching. You don't need to feel guilty about going to the grocery store and packing everybody in there, and the senior citizens, for the hour early in the morning. And you don't need to feel guilty about da-da-da-da. But you do need to feel guilty about whatever. So I'm really glad that you brought that up, because the Course says guilt doesn't stop us from doing anything. It just makes us feel really bad about ourselves.
Yes. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. So you're choosing love, not guilt.
Yeah.
And under the guilt is the fear that you're doing something wrong. And it's not wrong if you want to share and receive love. It's not wrong if someone feels most loving to be by themselves. That's the choice. As long as it's coming from love and not lack and fear and guilt, you're good.
Yeah.
Or fear of disapproval and being cast out.
Right, fear of being shunned by the masses.
And Sienna sent a comment and she says, I love hearing this. I'm in New Zealand and people make you feel like a serial killer if you want to go outside for a walk. The judgment is intense.
Wow.
Thank you. Yeah, and that's exactly what we're talking about. Somebody just from New Zealand?
Yes, Sienna from New Zealand.
Oh, wow. Sienna?
Yes.
Oh, hi, Sienna. We're happy that you're here on live on Facebook. This is very exciting to have someone from New Zealand. And they can suggest that to you, but they can't make you feel that way. You can say, I'm love and I'm going for a walk, and everybody can think whatever they want. It's none of my business. And just keep smiling and sharing and receiving the love with the birds and the trees and the fresh air, and you're nourishing your body with delicious sunshine and fresh air. And as long as you're not hugging anybody or breathing on anybody or rubbing your face, you're fine. Thank you so much for writing in. And then I have a Jan raised hand. Hi, Jan.
Hi. Can you hear me?
I sure can.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I just am so glad that I'm reacting to this virus out of love for myself and other people. And I have to go to work every day because I'm in healthcare. And I consider it a privilege to be able to go and serve my patients. And the other thing is about connecting with the different technology. Yesterday, we set up a Zoom call with my 8 brothers and sisters, and it was wonderful. And we're going to do it every Tuesday. Of course, they call it happy hour. I have my
their happy hour.
My sparkling ice drink, which is fine. But connecting is important, and loving yourself is paramount right now.
Yes.
So I just wanted to share that.
Yes. And if you're eating healthy food and avoiding things that are not good for your body, and drinking things that are good for your body, and getting plenty of rest and cleanliness, you'll be fine.
Yep.
And I love what you said. It's an honor to go and serve your
Yeah.
patients.
I really feel that way.
And does your ego try to scare you a little bit when you're doing that, or?
No, I wear the PPE, and no, I'm not scared. I'm doing what I want to do, and I'll take one day at a time and deal with it. If anything happens that's, like an infection or whatever, I'll deal with it.
But right now, you're safe and you're healthy and you have a higher purpose and you're fulfilling
Yes.
that.
Yes, absolutely.
And that feels good.
Feels wonderful. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Anybody else?
Jessica, Jan, and Paula all say hello from Facebook, and Mary Lee says choose love.
Thank you.
Hi, Donna.
Hi.
It's Ellen.
Hi, Ellen.
I'm sorry. I would have come to the library, but I had a family thing and I totally forgot.
Oh, no
so
problem.
when I realized it was 6:30, I put it on here because I saw that it was going to be on Zoom.
Oh, fantastic.
Hi, Ellen.
Hi. I have nothing really to say because I'm like so shocked that I missed half of it. But it's good to be here.
Well, we're very happy that you joined us. That's what counts.
Jessica says
Jessica?
Yes, Jessica says, I'm struggling with anger towards people who aren't taking social distancing seriously. I get upset. Why can't people just stay home and save lives?
Well, I don't know what you mean by social distancing. Can you clarify about that? Because we've been told 6 feet, 10 feet. So what do you mean? Because staying home and social distancing aren't necessarily the same thing. Is she writing?
Not yet. I'll let you
okay.
know when she responds.
Okay. Yeah, this is what we're talking about of, each person finding their comfort zone and making sure that we respect those boundaries that we've been given to minimize the spread of the disease, which is keeping, it was 6 feet, I think it went up to 10 feet. There's extremes on every side of this, but just staying at home isn't necessarily the solution to not spreading the virus.
So Jessica wrote 6 feet, but I am okay with walks.
Okay, all right. Yeah, nice and healthy walks are good for your heart, body, and soul. Yeah, there's a difference between isolating and minimizing our contact with people who we might receive, or we don't want to share the virus, but we don't want to stop sharing the love. So as long as we honor those boundaries of 6 feet and we're not in each other, and even when you're out and about, make sure you wash your hands really good before you touch yourself or someone else. It's very important. Anything else? Any of our members here in the
I think we have a lot to look forward to when this thing passes. Sort of we feel like rejoining society, rejoining the human race.
Right. Like being on restriction and get back out on the playground.
Right.
Yeah, the reuniting of the human race. Yeah. This is probably, at least since the Depression, probably the most historical event. Well, we got 9/11, which was extremely.
Yeah.
But this is definitely one of the top most historical events.
Absolutely.
So we're waiting see if there's any more comments or shares. If you just came on, we were talking about.
Sorry. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi.
Hi. This is my first time. The other Donna invited me.
Oh, good.
So my name is Jennifer. I was just gonna add.
Hi, Jennifer.
Hello.
Good to see you.
I was just gonna add that for me, this is kind of highlighting some people's insecurities, I guess, or maybe they're not really so sure that they'd be able to survive something like this. So that's why a lot of people are panicking. But for me, it's kind of highlighting people in my life, their personalities or their qualities, where they just don't really seem too confident in themselves or in the government, and it's just bringing all kinds of insecurities to light. And I'm not sure if it's the panic about the disease or what, but people don't really feel like they have many others to lean on because everybody's panicking.
Mm-hmm.
And then yet the people who are staying strong don't really want to engage in the negativity. So there's kind of a separation there of the people who are taking this one way and people who are taking it a different way.
Right. And the only way that we can heal separation is by extending love and not and without judgment. So people are just where they are. What we're doing as students, and every student is a teacher, what we're doing is just choosing love instead of fear. And we can either choose to, feel really uptight and frightened and work ourselves into a frenzy, and do all the things that will fuel that fear, like staying glued to, it's doubled today, it's quadrupled today, and, this bad thing's happening. There's no antidotes, there's no vaccines. There's no cures. Oh, this cure will kill you. I mean, we can stay glued to that channel in our mind, and that's telling us to stay on that channel, or we can go to the other channel that says, right now, what's going on, and what do I need to do right now to take the best care of myself. My body's a beautiful God-given vehicle here to travel around in, and I'm going to want it to be, as functional as long as possible. It's eventually going to run out. We're all going to die. No way around that. But we do have a lot of control over how and when we do that by the way we treat this vehicle. And then the main purpose of this vehicle is not to indulge it, but to share and receive love. So we can listen to that channel. So it's always the choice between the choice for love and connection and sharing and receiving love, loving ourselves, and if we love ourselves, then we're naturally going to be loving other people, or the channel of fear, which is, I need to stay all by myself, I'm scared of it all, I'm going to stay glued to the TV set, I'm not going around anyone or anything, and no judgment, it's just be sure of where you're coming from. And sometimes you need to do both. If you have a health issue, you definitely need to stay home, because you really do need to minimize your exposure. But all of this stuff is for you to choose which channel you're listening to, though. And is it coming from the fear, or is it coming from love? And there's always that choice.
Jan says it's so important
to see people's choices. And when somebody comes at me with some of their fear, it's like I don't even hear it. It's really hard to hear them at all. And I just go, oh, well, it's beautiful outside. And they go, yeah, but this and this. And they want to name all the things. And
right. Because,
I can't even,
right, because
I just listen somehow. I hear it, and I feel their fear too, but I'm not really that affected by it,
right.
which is good.
Well, that's very positive, and we've become an addictive society. I don't know if you heard the first part of the talk, but we have that we think, our ego tells us that we have that invisible hole inside, that void, and something's missing. And so drama is one way of covering it up and getting us all excited and feeling alive, even though it's not the loving aliveness. And even the Holy Spirit can use that, though, to bring people together. I mean, it's still better being together in the drama than being alone and separated. So even the worst of the chaos, love finds itself. So it's beautiful that you are tone deaf to it if it doesn't click in with your inner truth. That's beautiful, and thank you for sharing that with us.
Okay.
Jan?
Yes, Jan says it's so important to support people on the edge of recovery and newly recovered. Thank you for bringing this resource forward.
Yeah, the recovering community has taken a huge hit, and considering that the 35 million deaths a year that are related to illnesses because people are addicted and don't know it, why can't we be as concerned about that? I don't know. I would like to know. It's troubling to me right now, and what I'm going to turn that trouble into a miracle right this moment is request that we all reach out to these people. If you know someone who's newly sober and they don't have a meeting to go to, can you help them, learn how to get on a Zoom meeting or a live meeting? Or can you offer to give them a one-on-one meeting? I mean, can you reach out if you know somebody? Because it is really important for everyone in recovery to be able to stay connected. And that's not just like, an imaginary thing. It needs to be an actual thing of sharing recovery with one another and helping us all helping each other through this, because it's really difficult when you're a day or two sober and you finally get to that point where you've had that huge breakthrough to go get help, and then you go the next day and the place that you went to the meeting is got a big old sign on it, and the sign says you might get sick, so you might as well stay sick. I mean, it just it's devastating. So those of you that know people who are in recovery, please reach out to them. Whether you're in recovery or not, please reach out to them and tell them you love them. It can make all the difference in the world. And plead with them to just take it one day at a time. And there's plenty of literature to read online, and help them to connect with the meeting online, and share as much love as you can. Anything else?
Jan says, each one, reach one. And Sienna says, you've helped me put things into perspective.
Thank you. What was that first one? Each one, reach one?
Yes.
Oh, I like that. Each one, reach one. Each one of us can reach out to one person. Beautiful. Well, we certainly reached out to one another here tonight. And so we want to grow this, because the mission that I'm extending out of the Course in Miracles is to save as many lives as we can. I want to save 1 million lives in the next year, and my ultimate goal is 10 million lives in the rest of my life. So I can't do that alone. I need all of you to help me with that. So please tell, and this is like on Zoom and all, it doesn't cost anything. It's just, there's people out there that really are hungry for truth and hungry for a better way. And so please share with your friends, invite them. We'll be going on Zoom every week. We are going to continue to meet live until they tell us we can't use the room anymore. And we are going to continue on Facebook Live, and we are going to be on Zoom Live. But please check your emails, because we will be notifying you. And if you get an email that says you have 3 choices, then that will be the 3 choices. Make sure you check it the day of, because as you know, things are changing minute by minute. And then if you get an email that says live on Facebook or Zoom, then that's the way to reach us. And invite your friends and spread the word, so that we can continue to save lives and help people. Not only just save a life. I mean, being alive is not any fun at all if you're not having fun. So A Course in Miracles is about how to have fun and how to love and how to wake up. I mean, my life is just beyond imagine. I just can't even tell you how wonderful it is. Even when I'm going through one of those moments, it's like I'm able to switch out of it. So it's just such a blessing to have that choice, to be able to be in a place of just loving myself, loving all of you, loving life, and to have the beautiful relationships that I have, and the wonderful mission that I'm on, that makes me feel so happy and joyous. And so I want everyone that I come in contact with to be able to have that. And blessings to you all. I love you all. And going once, twice, 3 times. Any more comments?
Thank you, Donna.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Big virtual hug to everybody.
Thank you.
Virtual.
Thank you, Donna. Thank you.
Hi, Steph.
Glad you made it, Jennifer.
Thanks, Donna.
Thank you. Okay, bye everybody.